But this is the homemade lemonade set. You would be able to appreciate the sentiments better if the screen wasn't mirrored, but trust me, they are really, really cute. It says homemade lemonade, and then you've got some cute little lemons there. Pucker up. When life is sour, focus on the sweet. Enjoy summer. You're the zest. And you can see all of these just adorable stamps. And then there's a stencil that goes with it, and there's also coordinating dies. I haven't said hi to everybody. Darren, do you want to tell me who's on? Oh, Darren's still switching over, so for a minute I'll just keep showing you these. So if you're familiar with the No Place Like Home collection, it is a really fun collection. You've got your base that has your porch and some cute accessories that are just good for all year. And then, of course, it's got its die set. But then there's a bunch of sets that go along with it. And the ones that were already previously released are the No Place Like Holidays and No Place Like Halloween. You can see how cute those are. And then there's one that's No Place Like Fall. So, of course, we needed one for warm weather, right? So now, in the new summer release, there is a No Place Like Summer. And you can see it's got all of these fun little accessories that you can use, and you can mix and match them. I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with those. So, just wanted to point those out. But today what we're going to use, and there are tons of other things on this summer release. It is fantastic. If you get a chance, if you haven't already seen the live that Christopher did earlier on the, I think he did it on the Christopher Allen channel on YouTube, you'll be able to see tons of samples using all of the different products. And there are tons. But today we are going to use the Dogwood Sprig Stamps, dies, and stencils. So this is the stamp set. Then you can see it's got dies. And one fun thing in this release is most of the sentiments have dies, so if not all. So we will use that. And then we've got layering stencils that we're going to be using. So you can see I've been playing hard. So let's do some playing right now. What do you think? Darren, have you been able to get on and see who's on? Okay, well, if you're on, go ahead and say hello, because I wasn't able to do any shout outs really on this second go around. All right, so I've got my very well loved stick and stamp mat. I have several of these. We'll use this one today. And I already went ahead and stamped our image for our dogwood because I was playing with it anyway, so I just stamped a bunch of them. I'll just show you. I figured I may as well stamp a few of them, and then I'll just keep those with my stamp set.
Donna says hi.
Hi, Donna. Thanks for joining.
Robin says hi.
Hi, Robin. All right. Thank you for speaking up, guys. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I want to show you, I hope it shows up in the camera. Maybe Darren can tell me. In the corner, it tells you layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3, which I think is very helpful. For one thing, it helps to know which side of the stencil that you want to use. And for another, it helps you know what order to go in. Now, I am hopefully not going to confuse you too much, but these little centers for the flowers, I'm going to do those after we do some of the others. Hi, Kelly. So first we'll start off with our blooms. Now, if you don't love to color, if it is not your forte and you don't really enjoy it, then stencils are your friend.
Christine says hi.
Hi, Christine. So you can see that it lines up really nicely. And the stickiness on my stick and stamp mat will hold this in place pretty well. If you're worried about it, You can always add a little bit of pixie spray or something like that. But I'm also going to die cut this, so I'm not too concerned about this. Otherwise, I'd want to make sure that that was covered. We are just going to start out using an ink blender and some Simon Hurley ink. This is Prom Queen. And we'll just kind of start right there, I think. And I don't know if I thanked you the second time around, Darren, but thank you for moderating. And also, Darren will put up a link that will lead you to all of the things that we use today. And there is a link to all of the summer release products. Like I said, it's a big release and there are tons of really fun products. So you can go as light or as heavy as you want with your ink. I'm somewhere in the middle, I think. Okay, so I'm keeping it a little lighter than I sometimes do, but I think that'll work out just fine. Now I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Even though it says 1 and you've got your centers there, for what we're doing, you'll understand in just a minute why I did that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tackle the stems. Now I will point out one thing. I noticed that the stem goes up into the bloom a little bit. So make sure. Hi, Candy. Thanks for joining. Have fun working on your projects at the same time. I do that too. Oh. Okay, so you want to stop when you can see the color, which is pretty easy. I mean, you color your blooms first anyway. So we're just going to stop before we get to that point. So I'm using Grrr for my stem or my branch. And you can go as dark or as light as you want. I kind of like a mix. There are some fairly delicate parts to these stencils, so you want to be careful. There's not so many in the branches as there are in the other parts, like the petals. I think we want it a little darker than that. All right, I think that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit more on that branch. Okay. So look, we're already that far into coloring this. And then I am actually going to skip the second half of this as well, for the same reasons that you will understand very shortly. These are the little pieces that I was talking about. They're kind of delicate, so you want to be careful. I could definitely stand to be more gentle. It'll take a little practice for me. All right, so then we'll line up our leaves. And we'll use a little bit of, I'm going to see what's on my brush first. This is later Gator mostly on there. And whatever else happens to be in my brush right now, but I think probably mostly later Gator is in there anyway. But I have enough color in there. I don't really want to add too much more. I want the blossoms to be the focal point, not the leaves, right? Okay, so now we're going to go on to the next part. We'll use all of those second layers. And I am going to grab something really quick. I'm going to grab my bucket of soapy water because I am going to use Lunar paste. And I noticed Lunar paste, I love Lunar paste. It is really vibrant and really beautiful, but it's very color fast. So it is harder to clean off your stencils than some things, but it's definitely worth the effort. But for that reason, I want to have my soapy water nearby so I can just drop my stencil right in there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to actually layer 2. And I am going to do the outer parts of the blossoms. Just want to line it up correctly. I think that's about right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my Lunar paste. This is Prom Queen. And I'm actually... Now, I can't promise that it's really great for your sponges because it does get hard. I didn't try to rinse it out or anything, but I'm just going to keep them for this. And I wanted something where I could control my paste a little bit. If you like a lot of dimension, go ahead and use a spatula, but I wanted to keep mine kind of a little bit more subtle. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color using my little detail blender. The other reason is because the thinner the layer, the faster it dries. So we're going to go with that. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Has anybody been able to see the full summer release yet? And if so, what were your favorite items that you've seen so far? What are you most intrigued by? I definitely want to get those jungle leaf dies. I think those are so cool. But all of the layering sets are just so much fun. I have the stamps to the homemade lemonade, but I definitely want to get the stencil and the dies and have the whole set.
Candy said she ordered all the flower stuff and it's shipped already.
Oh wow, that Candy ordered all of it today, all of the flowers, and they already shipped today. That's pretty impressive.
She said the jungle leaf dies were on her list the second she saw them.
Yeah, they're cool, aren't they? I think the jungle leaves are cool too, Candy. I love the pineapple too. I love all of it. I love the little watermelon. Okay. So now I'm going to drop this right in my soapy water. And can you see how pretty that is? It just adds shimmer and a little depth to our blooms. And very little mess with the sponges. But like I said, my disclaimer is I don't think it's particularly great for these. But I was willing to make the sacrifice. So just know that it may kill your sponge detail blenders, okay? All right, let's go on to another layer. Actually, let's dry that a little bit. You want to take it off of your stamp and stick and stamp mat before you dry it. Honestly, that's probably good enough. It dries fairly quickly anyway.
Candy said this was a great release. We'll be ordering other stuff next month. And Donna says, wow, the paste really brings the blooms to life.
I think so too, Candy. I'm right there with you. And yes, I think this is really fun. And you can, like I said, you can do thicker layers. This one I used the spatula instead, so you can see there's a little more dimension to it. It has a little bit more to it. But I'm liking the softness of this one as well. So let's go on to our next layer. Let's do the centers. Let's do those last. We'll do the leaves. And this one I always have to remind myself how they go, because they all fit perfectly. You just have to keep turning until you're in the right spot, which is right here. We found it. And it's pretty obvious once you get there. Okay, so now we're going to use later Gator. Whoops. I'm going to mostly hold mine here. But like I said, you can just use washi. And if I had a little bit more stick, I have more that have more stick to them. But it's all good. It'll work just fine. So we're going to use later Gator Lunar paste to give our leaves a little bit of shine and dimension. I think it moved on me. It's okay. It's close enough, I think, that it'll be all right. That one's going to bug me. Let me move it a little bit. I think that my sponge was kind of dry anyway when I did it. Okay. Go over them a little bit more. Let's see how that turned out. Great. So I'll drop that in my soapy water.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Don't know why we're having so much fun tonight.
Hello again.
Hello. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate you coming back. Well, I think that it cut out somewhere when I was starting the centers. I did finish those. Hopefully you saw that. All right. Are you on where you can see the comments, hon?
Yes.
Thanks, Darren. Okay, so we're finished with that part for right now. And we'll just let that dry while we're doing another step. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is 5.5 by 5.5. We're going to make a 6x6 card if you were not sure.
Candy, Christine, and Robin send it back, and I...
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you coming back on. I don't know what the deal is tonight. We're just having good times. So now again, I'm going to use what's left on my brush. I don't need to double dip on this one. Well, maybe I will. We'll have to see. But I'm starting around the edges because I want a fairly soft color for our background. I can always add more if I need to. I probably will around the very edge. This is the same brush I used for the flowers, so this is just the ink that's left, the Prom Queen ink that is left in the brush. And I think, yeah, let's add a little bit. Let's add it after. Let's do the next step next. So this stencil, you might remember, is from, I think it was in February that it was the stencil of the month. We're gonna need our mat again. I'll just take this one. And it is called Vintage Tile. It's one of my favorites. And we're just going to make a really subtle background with this. So I'm going to use some Gilded Aqua Pigment. Now it doesn't come with the spray top. It comes with an eyedropper, but I like to put mine in, put spray bottles in mine. I use it better this way. So you do you, but I just wanted to let you know that that's not how it's packaged. So now I want to make sure that my brush is got the color kind of evenly distributed. And I'm just going to lightly start to add this. I think you can see okay. I'll move up a little bit. Well, this looks like we're going to need all of that.
What did you place the paper and stencil onto and eye?
This is the stick and stamp mat. I'm going to show you one that's in its package still. This is your best friend. So this is sticky. It's kind of like a mat that you would use in your die cut, your electronic die cut machine. But it's designed so that you can fit it. It fits exactly in your stamping platform. I'm trying to see if I can find my one that's the right size. That's what I said was electronic die cut machine. Okay. So you can see it fits exactly in there. And you can use it for all kinds of things. We're using it to hold on to our stencil for right now because it's sticky on the ends. See? I don't know if you can see that. So yes, it's really cool. And there are some accessories you can get to go with it. There's the stamping buddy, which I have, but I don't need for this because my card's the wrong size. And this kind of protects the edges while you're blending with it. And then there's also a little card that you can do your blending on. The blending buddy is probably what it's called. So definitely check that out on the Brutus Monroe site. Actually, Darren, did you put that in the links? Yes. It's in the links if you want to check it out. Darren will post the link that he posts will show everything that I used. So I was a little conservative on my Aqua pigment. So we are going to go along it again. I do want to keep it fairly light, but I do want to see it some. Whenever I have technical difficulties, it always kind of throws me off. So thank you for your patience and for coming back, not giving up on me.
Mary Ellen did awesome, thank you.
You bet, Mary Ellen. They are such a great deal too. I have like 4 of them because I use them for different things. And there's also a video on the Brutus Monroe YouTube channel on how to care for your mat. So if you decide to grab one, you definitely want to watch that.
Cheryl said hi. She got already, so she can watch it live.
Hi, Cheryl. So I'm going to put a little bit more of our Gilded. Okay, I think this is probably good because we want it, like I said, to be fairly subtle. We'll just peel it back and see what we think. Yeah, I like that. Can you see that?
Yep.
Just a nice light background. And now we can move on to the next step. Just going to put my, I was going to put my clear piece back on my, there it is. It's clear, so I couldn't see it. So I'm going to put that back on my stick and stamp mat so it doesn't get any dust or lint or anything on it. Okay, so now I'll let that dry for a minute. We can die cut this. And we've got all of these beautiful dies. And I want to show you how awesome the fit is for this die. One thing I really love about this die set and how it coordinates is that it cuts out not just the perimeter but it cuts out these centerpieces as well. You can see there are the middle pieces. There's one still stuck in my die. And there we have our beautiful blossoms. So we've got that, we've got this. So now I will show you, I already did the die cutting on this, but I will show you what I used. I die cut one of the Solarium Windows, and I just used some of the Elegant Essentials Gilded paper. So we'll use that. And I already did the sentiment as well. So the sentiment is right here. It's called, it says Just Because. And like I said before, the dies fit the sentiments. So you've got the dies for all of your stamp set. So I used the die to cut that out. So we'll use that. And then we're going to use some leaves from our fabulous florals. And I did use this on a tag that you'll see when, I don't remember exactly what day it's scheduled for, but it'll post in social media. But I did something different with it this time, and I wanted to just show you how it adds to the, let me just get this out of the way, how it adds to your die cuts. It gives them more, gives the stamped die cut a little bit more dimension. Okay, I'm just gonna set those aside, kind of get them out of my way. So this is Fabulous Florals. Mine is not in its fancy packaging because the design team, we often get samples that are not, they don't have the packaging yet because we get them before they're released, right? So sometimes I have packaging that'll look different than yours, but I used this set right, or this set and this die right here, and I cut out some leaves in vellum. And then what I did is I sprayed them with the Gilded Aqua Pigment, and I also used some of the Ornament Gold Chroma Mist. Now I want to warn you, when you do that on vellum, they tend to curl. So what I did was I pulled out, I got them all sprayed, and then I pulled out my stick and stamp mat and laid them out on it so that they would dry without being in a big curly ball. Okay? All right, so this is probably dry enough. We can add a little bit more ink around our edges. I don't want a lot, just a little bit. So I'm using the Prom Queen again, and I'm just going to go around the edges a little bit. Just deepen that just a little bit. Yep. And that just kind of sets it off a little bit more. Okay, so now I think we're ready to assemble our card. So the first thing we'll do is we'll put our Solarium Window die in place. And I'm using Barely Art Glue, which has an amazing fine tip that makes it so much easier to do little intricate cuts like these. And I'm not gluing all the way around. I'm just kind of dotting it where I think it will need it. And I'm kind of missing the die altogether a little bit. anybody have any questions? Y'all are quiet tonight. Okay, so we're going to try to center that. Keyword is try. I think that's pretty close. Okay, so we've got that in there, and I think we're going to kind of see if this will tuck in. If I didn't glue all the way around it, I kind of like it sticking out a little bit. That seems like a good place for that. So let's add some dimension. Let's use some foam squares on our blooms.
Christine asked, what is the name of the second die set you mentioned?
So this die set right here is the Solarium Window, and this one right here is the Fabulous Florals. It is a great staple. And all of the links are in the collection that Darren posted. Everything will come up when you click on that. All right. Let's go about like that. Okay, so now we can kind of tuck our little leaves in where we want them. I kind of have to play to know where I want mine. I know I want at least one up here. Might have to lift it a little bit. This one will probably glue in place in just a second. And I don't want to overpower our floral. That's why I used Vellum. It's because I just wanted to add a little bit more dimension. Sorry, I have to play for a little bit. So one thing that I like to have when I'm messing around with little intricate pieces like this is I just have some little like skewers, little wood skewers in my craft room. Because I can get them gluey or whatever, and it's okay if I check them after. But I can use them for quite a while before I get to that point. So I'm just going to use mine to kind of tuck that guy where I want it, because my fingers are just too fat. I just don't have the control I want. Okay, so now we'll put this last one in. Did I glue that one in? No, we have two of them to do then. Let's see, I think he was in here. And then this last little guy. Do we still want him right there? Maybe we'll face him down this way a little bit more. The vellum is not very stiff, so it does make it a little trickier to work with. Okay, I like that. So I think I might just leave it right where it is and put just a little bit of glue. Yep, that's in there. Okay, All right, and then we've got our, before I forget, I'm going to put my pen in my glue so it doesn't clog up on me. And then we've got our little sentiment here. We can put it down at the top. I'm kind of liking it better at the top. I think it's a little more visible up here. So let's go ahead and pop that up so we can see that really well. I think I'm going to use a little bit thicker. Is that going to work? Maybe not. We'll just cut this one in half. So we have a squirrel that lives in the tree near our house, and it loves to tease our dogs. And I'm guessing that's what's going on right now. So forgive my dog. That squirrel is probably tormenting him. Okay. And then I've got some little gold embellishments. We can just add a few little ones. I don't think it needs a whole lot because we've already got so much going on. But we'll add a couple. What do you think? So now we just need to mat our card and put it on our card base. Okay, so we will go ahead and get this matted on our gold foil. I'll do my best to center it.
Cheryl says, too busy watching. This is turning out beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So now
Watercoloring, and I don't like to do it.
she's what coloring?
Watercoloring.
Watercoloring? Oh, Candy, I'm not very good at watercoloring. I keep trying though. And I'm not giving up, but it's definitely not my strongest skill. I definitely do better with pencils. Those are my first choice for coloring. But like I said before, if you are not a big fan of coloring in general, stencils are the way to go. They just get the job done and make it so simple. And I should mention, first of all, let me turn this over. I should mention that this is a card base that is already pre-cut, pre-scored. These are sold on the Brutus Monroe site in a few different sizes. Obviously, we have the 6x6. Okay, you guys, that's enough. Shush. Okay, so you could add a little ribbon here. I'm kind of debating on whether I want to add a little bit of string. I don't, like I said, I don't want anything that's going to compete, but let's see if it just kind of finishes off that stem. I may or may not use it, but let's try it out. So I'm just tying a double bow. And I'm just going to...
Christine says this is beautiful.
Thank you so much, Christine. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I kind of like the bow. It feels just a little naked to me without it. So we'll just add a little bit more glue. Just right here. I love this Fairly Art glue. It dries nice and fast, and it has a really good hold. So we'll just add that and let that dry. And there is our card. Super simple. Now, like I said, you can, if you want to go really crazy, you can add more layers. You can double them up and add more dimension. I decided I liked the softer hues, so I decided against doing double layers. But you can see you can get even more dimension really easily. But, and this is using a spatula instead of using the little sponges like I did. All right, so this is our card, and there we go. Now you can kind of see it. Thank you so much. I hope that you will check out the summer release because, like I said, there is something for everybody. There's florals. There's a really cute alligator set that I'm afraid I'm going to have. And there are some really just amazing, amazing products on it. So check that out. And I will be back next week with another new project. And thanks so much for bearing with me tonight. I know it was kind of a crazy night, and we had part 1 and 2, and I think 3 in the end. So thank you. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.